film stars, rock stars, writers, actors. Ed Sheeran's manager sends me a message and goes, he wants to come in. Of course, I'm going to look after it.
A lot of places don't achieve what you've achieved.
We're not necessarily doing it because we want to earn loads of money or because we want to be famous.
The industry is essentially most influential people are finding their way here.
Welcome to the Decode Sessions, where we unpack fashion and culture in a way that makes sense to everyone, from your 70-year-old mum to your 7-year-old daughter, covering everything you need to know, plus a few things you didn't. Have you ever wondered how certain spots suddenly become the place everyone in fashion, film and music want to be seen in? The kind of venue where celebrities and designers collide, where you feel like you're witnessing culture happen in real time. Today, we're joined by Oisín Rogers, the man behind the Devonshire, Soho's pub that has become one of the hardest to book, most talked about destinations in London. The upstairs dining room has everyone from Hollywood celebrities to fashion royalty. And then there's the green room, this little private space tucked behind the bar where you might spot a different celebrity every day. And if you're lucky, you'll stumble upon an impromptu set by the likes of Ed Sheeran. In this episode, you will hear how Oisín builds cultural relevance. The kind that has Anna Wintour, Skepta and half the front row of Fashion Week stopping by for a steak. We'll unpack what it really takes to create that aura of exclusivity, and we'll hear Oisín's own lessons on building something that is both authentic and aspirational.
But we're not here to talk about Guinness or food. We're here to decode the art of creating hype and how to maintain it. So let's get right into it. Oisín, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Anna. Good to see you.
Good to see you too. So you're the face of the Devonshire, and I know that you say that a pub shouldn't be defined by its landlord, but its landlord should, or its host should be defined by the pub.
I think that's true, yeah.
But I feel like you're very much the face and the sort of the magic stardust behind this.
I'm not really, because the magic's about the experience that guests have that's delivered by the amazing staff we have. So I think, you know, what do we get in here? So probably about 10,000 people a week come through these doors, and I'd say maybe 1 in 5 sees me, or maybe 1 in 10, or maybe 1 in 20, I don't know. They don't see me, but at the same time, hopefully they have a lovely time. And while I kind of, I suppose, conduct that orchestra of really amazing people, I do it without seeing exactly what's going on all the time. So to say I'm the face of it, I think is slightly overstepping.
I hear you. You are being modest though, because you're also a real lover of music and of art.
Yeah, I love
it. It's evident in the room that we're sitting in now. And I feel, do you think that plays a little bit a part in who comes here and how
Absolutely.
People...
Well, I think if you pick it apart, we're in a business where people experience something very sensual. So all of your inputs when you're enjoying yourself are about what you hear, what you see, what you taste, what you touch, and what you smell. So, you know, music and art are the things that are the most sensual of the things we experience, you know, and art and music are both expressions of beauty. And really for me, you know, if we didn't have beauty, then we wouldn't be what we are. And a physical way to add beauty to a place is to do really excellent music, and also to have interesting, well curated, decent pieces of art around the place. So it fits into the whole thing of people feeling something. We want people to feel something magical and something positive and something great and something unusual and something more than what you would expect to feel when you just go for something to eat or something to drink.
And speaking of food, that's obviously, you know, a big part of the experience here, or the key part. And you take, you know, a lot of pride in, you have your own butcher, you've got your own bakery. How does that sort of unwavering commitment to produce create, you know, and draw in a specific community?
I don't think we talk about specific communities, first of all, because hopefully we draw everybody in. We don't have a target market. Everybody should be welcome to the pub.
Yeah.
But in terms of, you know, what you're saying about the reason we've got a butcher and we own our supply chain is because we want to have the best meat, and that's the best way to do it. The reason we have a bakery and we bake bread every morning is because we want to have the best bread, and that's the way you do it. We've thought the same about the Guinness. We've thought the same about how we do the scallops. We do the same about how we do the lager beers. We're doing the same with the wine because we went to Portugal and had wine made. So what we want to do for each element of the business is try and be the best we can so that we deliver the best quality, flavor, and story for each element. And all three of those things, that's the answer to why we have a butchery. That's the answer to why we have a bakery. Because if we were to go out to the market and try and buy the amount of meat that we sell from another butcher or from another supplier, I can guarantee you we wouldn't have quite as good a quality, and we definitely wouldn't have the consistency. So we own the consistency, and that's part of what we wanted to do.
And the food in here is amazing.
Well, I'm glad you think so. We quite
just
like
coming in here makes my mouth water a little bit. I mean, when we had lunch here a few months ago, and I got to experience every single dish on the menu through you, or your favorites at least. It's pretty special. So of course I understand why people come here for that. So we touched a little bit on community, and I feel like both culture and community are two real marketing buzzwords right now. But I feel like
but I don't really know much about marketing.
No, I know, and that's the beauty of it. But you've still created something super special. How do you make sure that the experience here feels really authentic, and that it's not? I mean, a lot of places don't achieve what you've achieved. You've achieved something that feels real.
I think it's important to go back to why we're doing it. We're doing it because we want people to feel comfortable, safe, happy, and well looked after. We're not necessarily doing it because we want to earn loads of money, or because we want to be famous, or because we want to be busy. We actually want to do it because we want people to feel those things. So when we talk to the team, or when we make a decision, or when we look at changing anything, we always think about how people are going to feel. And I think that's the reason why people actually like it. And it's kind of going at it from a different way around, but that's why it is.
Yeah. And speaking of marketing, you opened the doors to this place less than 2 years ago. Within a couple of weeks of being open, you've already had an amazing food review, and you've done some stuff with the top jaw guys.
Yeah.
So from what I understand, you haven't really done any external marketing or PR.
Way we look at it, we don't have a PR, and I can't really define what marketing is, but what I do know is that when customers who've spent their money feel that they've had great value for time and value for money when they've been here, they tell everybody.
It's word of mouth.
And they don't just tell everybody by word of mouth. They'll also post on their social media. And they'll share photographs with their friends on WhatsApp of what they've eaten. And for me, that's what marketing is. And if you look at our feed on, everyone says, you're really great on Instagram. I'm actually not, because all we do on Instagram is repost the nice things that people have put on. And we'll comment on our guests who say they've had a nice time and say thank you. And that's about it. There's not much more than that. Okay, we if we do something new and we do a new dish, we'll take a photograph, as does everybody, and go, this is a new dish. Or we open a new room, we'll go, this is a new room, that's it. But that is it. And it's really simple, I think, in terms of how we get stuff out there. We get stuff out there by making people feel great and making sure that they had great value for money and value for time. And then they tell everyone. And that's really it. And that's what's happening.
But I think you're being modest again, because I feel like you have, the first time I came here, there's so much attention to detail. I mean, it's a pub, right?
Yeah.
And I think many people come in here thinking this is a pub like any other pub.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, it is,
yeah.
And it is, and I think that's why people love coming here. But there's also so much attention to detail here, with everything from, how the tables are set. I'm a real stickler for, it has to be good products in the loose when I go to wash my hands. A lot of pubs don't get that right, but all of those little details are here.
Yeah.
And that's kind of bait for people to post on Instagram, isn't it? Like it's
no,
one of the things. No, but I'm not saying that you're creating bait, but the things are here, maybe without you thinking of it. that make people want to share it as well, aside from, the experience being great and the food is amazing, but those little details are important as well. And I think
I really think
nailed
so,
it.
but we never think about how it looks on Instagram. We always think about how people will feel in the space.
Yeah.
So, for example, if it drives me mad when you go to other pubs and there's no soap in the loos, and when it's there, it's really, commercial, horrible, from Jay's Fluid or somebody like
Bayliss
that.
and Harding
And
is
that's
my pet hate.
Yeah, but like, that's all over the place, and we just wanted to do things better and do things different. And it doesn't cost that much to think about making things feel
but
great.
Not
and it
everyone
still goes back to our top line about how people feel. You feel better if you have nice soap and the toilets are clean and someone seems to care, and we do care.
No, and I think you can tell. So let's talk a little bit about your more famous guests without naming any names.
Yeah.
So your brand has become a little bit of an if you know kind of brand or kind of place. How did that mystique build, and at what point did you realize that the industry's essentially most influential people are finding their way here?
Well, I think if you're right in the centre of London and you have nice food and nice drink and people feel comfortable, safe, happy and well looked after, then you get more people coming in. And I reckon there's more than 10,000 people a week coming through here, from all across the stratas of society, all across the world, all across the stratas of how much they earn and also how esteemed they are, and how influential they are. So if you have 10,000 people randomly coming in, you're going to have 5 or 10 or 15 or 20 people a week who are far more influential than everybody else. And yeah, of course, you spot them and you recognize their faces and you look after them. And when they post, everybody notices. But it's purely and absolutely organic and not something that we have strived to do. And obviously, if Ed Sheeran's manager sends me a message and goes, he wants to come in, of course, I'm going to look after him or them or that sort of person who is not necessarily comfortable or safe in a public space, and we'll make sure that they get really well looked after. But in general, it is completely organic that you get these film stars, rock stars, writers, actors, directors, all these people just passing through, because everybody passes through, and that's a fact.
Maybe it's also quite liberating, because when I was here in this room with you a couple of months back, there were some famous faces, but they were here with everyone else, and there was me next to someone famous, next to maybe your local from up the road who comes here every day for his pint. Like, all of these people are together, right?
And you will notice they all got treated the same.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's important. It's the idea of what we wanted to do was to have it so it's democratic and accessible, but also that there's a level of exclusivity in some of the bits and pieces that we do and some of the areas that we have.
So that I think is a very difficult balance to strike, because especially in London, which is such a members club heavy city.
I'm not a fan of members clubs, by the way.
No, and neither am I, because I feel like there's so many now. So if you're going to have a good night out, you need several memberships if you want to hop around a little bit. Anyway, I think there's the exclusivity of a members club, which means that some people will be turned away, or you can only come if you're a member. And then there's the inclusivity of a pub, which means that everyone is welcome.
Yeah.
You have managed to strike a balance here, which is a balance that, I always talk about this because it was the first thing that happened when social media launched, and I'm old enough to have experienced that in the fashion world that I'm in, and how brands were like, what are we going to do with this? We're exclusive, and now we have to be inclusive. How do we strike that balance? And I think you have mastered the art of striking that balance, of making it an interesting place for people to be, where for these people who would normally go to exclusive places, they want to come here just as much as they want to go to Annabelle's, or
I hope so.
Maybe even more so. But it's still mixed with everyone mixes together. How does one strike that balance, do you think?
Well, there's a certain there's a certain balance between the order and the chaos of it as well, and that's important, so that they can the people who are, you know, very well recognized or well known can feel comfortable. There's a couple of things we do. So, and nobody's allowed to take a photo, for example.
Yep.
That seems obvious to me, that you should that it's rude to take a photo of somebody when they're on their downtime.
Yeah.
But for some people, that's not obvious, and we enforce that really rigorously.
Mm-hmm.
And also, you don't ask for selfies. You don't speak to them unless you know them, and if they speak to you, it's fine. But you know, that's sort of. It seems to me like general good manners, you know. And we try and instill that in the staff and in the customers, and it really, really works. Mm. And that's one of the reasons I think why people who wouldn't normally feel comfortable in a public space feel really comfortable in these spaces. And it really works, and we've got loads of examples of, you know, people who keep coming back and they really love it, and they're not used to being in a pub or even a public restaurant.
No, and it's so wonderful to see, because I think that we've had, not just private places, but places that are open to everyone. I'm not going to name any names, but a bit of an institution here in London that has been around for a long time, where a lot of people go. Yeah. But you can only, even if it's not a members club, you can only get in if you are someone, and otherwise you get treated quite arrogantly. So it's really wonderful to see that kindness, you know. Well,
it still goes back to what I said originally. We want everyone to have a really nice time.
Yeah.
We don't want people to have a time where they feel like they're excluded. And, you know, we want people to leave the place going, because the thing about pubs and restaurants is, you know, people can come in here and they can spend anything from £4.95 for 1 pint, which gives you access and the ability to enjoy it. Or you can come and sit at a restaurant table and order the biggest piece of beef you've ever seen and have a £3,000 bottle of wine and have a £5,000 bill. And both of those things happen every day. And we like to have that massive diversity of those experiences. But at the end of the day, the guest still leaves with nothing but a memory of having been here and consumed their things in a wonderful space. Yeah. And they walk out with no bag. Like, you go to a fashion retailer, you walk out with a bag, and what you've bought is represented by the physical thing. Whereas we don't have a physical thing that we sell. We have a story and a memory, and hopefully that gets propagated in a positive way.
So, I know that you get a lot of requests from fashion brands, and I'm obviously not surprised, but and again, without naming any names, tell me a little bit, what do they want from you, and what do you say to them? What are the kind of requests that come through to your inbox?
We've had lots of little bits and pieces. Like, people quite often want to buy out the pub. You know, they want to say, you know, I don't want to do that, because if I gave the pub over to a massive brand for, yes, we can make loads of money out of doing that for 1 night or 2 nights or 3 nights a year or 10 nights a year. But once you do that, you no longer are inclusive to guests, and pubs need to be a place where people can walk into. So we don't do it.
What requests would you accept, if any?
We've had some chats about some collaborations, for example, staff uniform and things like that, which we would do. Yeah. We've obviously got the private dining room, which we have done some really nice.
Launched.
Yeah.
Yep.
We've done really nice bits and pieces from some of the smaller fashion brands. But, you know, I'm very flexible, and as long as we can work within the values that we have and keep the pub open to the public, I'll consider anything.
So you and I have talked about this before at lunch. How does one maintain hype and make sure that you're not a flash in the pan? You're obviously not a flash in the pan. You've been around for a couple of years now, but how does one maintain hype? It's a $1 million question.
Well, I'll tell you what I think about it. I think a lot of hype is unjustified. So sometimes you'll manage, you know, in our world, someone will invent a burger that's got a new way of cooking, and they get flash video, and then all the influencers get to have it for free, and then they tell everyone how wonderful it is. And that hype has a very short shelf life, because it's not that good in the first place. You know, whereas if you have something that's really great, and is consistently really great and stays really great, but also is not a function of fad or of trend or trendiness, then you've got a much better chance of it lasting for a long, long, long time. We try to think in a more timeless way.
Yeah.
We don't do things that are really trendy. Our menu is very traditional and old school. We just do everything really, really well.
And you haven't really changed it much since
we haven't
you
changed
opened.
a single dish since we opened. No. And so we're consistent, and we don't try and follow trends or fads. And
but
I think that's important.
knew, sorry to interrupt, but you clearly knew what you were doing before you launched as well. You knew what you wanted to have on that menu. And
yeah, well, I think we knew what people eat when they go out, and we knew what people really enjoy when they go out, and we wanted to take those things and do them really, really well, and that's worked. But you know, going back to hype. I think I would never use hype as a word for what we do and how we communicate.
No.
You know, some people see it as hype, particularly people who haven't been here.
Yeah.
Because I think hype is a negative word. It means that somebody's sold me something and it's never going to be quite as good as what I think it is. And of course that happens, because you'll get people on social media going, this is the best steak in the world that I've ever had in my life, and this is the best. And they might not be. They're pretty good. But they might not be the best in the world. So someone coming in expecting it to be
up there, but
someone coming in expecting the steak to be the best in the world, and it's not quite the best in the world, there's a chance that they might be disappointed.
Yeah.
And that is the downside of hype. You know, and sometimes I suppose when you look at what we do, people come to me and they say, oh my God, I saw you on TikTok. I'm not on TikTok. I've never been on it. I don't understand what it is. And apparently I'm on it. But that's not something I've done. It's something that's happened, but it's happened because what we do in here is good. And that, I think, is kind of the answer to how you maintain the visibility of people seeing what's there, which is what you call hype.
No, you're right. Hype isn't really a word that I associate either you or the Devonshire with. And that, like you just said, you're not the kind of place that tries to, I used clickbait earlier, but I don't mean it as clickbait, but we know restaurants that try and create that specific dessert that, you know, will melt when you pour chocolate sauce over it. And then, we've created something which means that it's Instagrammable, and then people would talk about it. We both know that these things, they come and go, right?
Yeah,
they get coverage for a little while, and then they die off. But going back to TikTok, and this is my last question for you, because you're saying you might be on there, but you are certainly on Instagram, and you have a pretty good following. So Oisín Rogers, the man, do you get any requests as an influencer to work with brands? Has that happened yet?
I have got quite a few, but I generally don't.
I can imagine what the answer is.
Yeah, well,
no.
I don't think it's good. It would be good for me, and I think there's a certain. It's not something I'd be that interested in doing, to be honest.
Which is why this place is a success story, right? Because he maintains a certain balance. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Good to see you. And thanks for coming in.
Thank you.
Cheers.
And that's a wrap on this episode of the Decode Sessions. What Oisín and the Devonshire show us is that true hype is not built on gimmicks. It's built on community, consistency, and a sense of magic that you cannot fake. Whether it's fashion, hospitality, or any other industry, the lesson is the same. People don't just buy into a product. They buy into the feeling it gives them and the story they get to tell about being part of it. I'd love to know what you thought. Come join the conversation with us on Instagram and on TikTok at Decode Collective, and make sure you're following so you don't miss next week's episode, where we'll be decoding even more of the culture shaping our world. See you then.